listening to the Spirit Podcast.
Welcome back to the Spirit, the podcast where the mystical meets the meaningful, and the sacred often shows up wearing strange clothes. I'm Beck, and as always, I'm joined by my cosmic co-pilot and fellow frequency rider, Rachel. Hey, Rach.
Hey, Beck.
What's going on?
Oh, just enjoying the sun, soaking it up like a cat.
We haven't had it in a while.
Way too long.
Oh, I don't know where you listeners are located, but if you're in the Northeast, you feel our pain.
Mm-hmm.
We feel oppressed. Depressed. We need to break out our sad lights in the spring. What's that about? We've had to put on our heaters at night and our fireplaces.
And it's June, literally next week.
Right.
Give me a break.
Memorial Day was spent in a hoodie.
Yep. Freezing.
Mean, people aren't even opening their pools yet. Well, today we're opening a conversation that's been a long time coming. The divine feminine. What she truly is, how she's rising again, and why this energy is moving through our collective bones like an ancient river returning to its course. We're not talking about trendy goddess memes or girl boss slogans. We're talking about the real feminine force, the archetype that births, destroys, heals, and remembers. We'll explore how the divine feminine ties into the Age of Aquarius.
Reminds me of 40-year-old virgin.
Yeah. And how she's been historically silenced and culturally distorted, and how this reawakening is showing up right now in us, around us, and sometimes in very unexpected ways. We'll also wade into deeper waters. Why are parts of feminism becoming imbalanced? Why are so many men feeling lost or disempowered? Is there a spiritual reason behind the physical shifts we're seeing in male biology? And how do we get back to a true union of energies rather than playing tug of war with power? Oh, and stick around because Rachel's bringing in some potent witchy wisdom today on Hecate. Am I saying that right? Hecate?
Yeah, Hecate or Hecate.
Okay. And Friday the 13th. It's a perfect portal into the deeper layers of feminine magic, the crossroads and the misunderstood holy days we've inherited. So settle in, whether you're in your sacred rage or your sacred rest. She's calling, and we're listening. So what is the divine feminine? The divine feminine isn't about gender. It's about energy. It lives in everyone, regardless of identity. This energy is intuitive, creative, nurturing, chaotic, sensual, cyclical, wild, wise, and incredibly powerful. For centuries, we've been living in an over-amplified masculine system, focused on linear thinking, domination, conquest, and rationalism. But now, people are feeling the call of deeper currents, the yin to the long-standing yang. Let's take a moment to break this down a bit. Divine feminine energy values intuition over logic. It welcomes mystery over certainty. It creates space rather than filling it. It cycles through death and rebirth instead of constant growth. It feels, it heals, and receives. Rach, I want to ask you this off the cuff. Do you think the rise of this energy is showing up in people's everyday lives yet, or is it still mostly spiritual circles feeling it?
I think it's more in the spiritual world that we are feeling and working on embracing our divine feminine. I think roles have been really pushed to the feminine, and people who should be in their feminine are too imbalanced in their masculine and vice versa. And I think we need to get back to that masculine feminine balance.
Have you seen signs of her reawakening?
I'm starting to. I see it the most honestly on TikTok, women talking about how we can be in our divine feminine and men talking about being in the divine feminine as well. And I know a big one that they really express is that we need to learn how to receive again. And a lot of us don't receive, and we don't sit back and let someone give to us and we feel like we have to reciprocate it immediately. In your feminine, you are a receiver.
You're right. We're conditioned out of that, aren't we? When we have been for a long time. We're living in an astrological moment of major recalibration. The Age of Aquarius is about innovation, freedom, community, equality, and the breaking down of old hierarchical systems. And guess what? Those are deeply feminine principles. They reflect a decentralized, shared power structure, the kind of ecosystem the divine feminine thrives in. We're seeing it in the rise of collective healing spaces, the reclaiming of ancient feminine practices like moon rituals, womb work, herbalism, a return to storytelling, circle sharing, and heart-based leadership. And yes, even in the crumbling of institutions that can no longer hold this frequency. You've talked before about seeing these shifts, even in your work outside the podcast. I'm curious, do you feel like there's been an increase in people wanting to understand themselves energetically, spiritually, emotionally, especially women?
Yes. And I think a lot of people are going through their awakening and noticing, especially around their moon cycles and their dreams, a lot more vivid dreams and messages and wanting to understand that side of them.
Yeah, I'm seeing the uptick in women, even on TikTok, that are kind of spiritualist people. They're rising. I'm seeing it.
Yeah, they're tuning into their inner power.
Yeah.
Which we've always had, women have always had, and it's always been suppressed. And if you had any ability out of the norm, even just comforting and helping and healing somebody, you could have been killed centuries ago.
I think we're going to get into that too. Before we go any deeper into the history and distortion of feminine energy, I want to touch on something really important: the body. The divine feminine isn't just a cosmic concept or archetype floating in the ethers. She's in us, in flesh, in blood, in breath. She speaks through sensation, through subtle shifts, through the language of cycles. The menstrual cycle is one expression. 4 phases echoing the moon, the seasons, the tides. For those not menstruating, we know who you are, the lunar cycle becomes a mirror, a way to track mood, creativity, and energy in a world that pressures us to stay linear and productive. And then there's intuition, another sacred gift of the feminine. That gut feeling, the knowing that doesn't have receipts, but is almost always right. But here's the kicker. The modern world has trained us to ignore it. We've been told to second guess our instincts, override our feelings, and seek logic over embodied truth. Reconnecting to the divine feminine means learning to trust the body again. Do you find that people often have to relearn how to listen to their body?
Yeah, because so many times we get gaslit, told that we're just crazy or it's our hormones or something like that. And really, we're right. And we have to not question our intuitions. If we feel that, we have to really take note of that and don't let somebody convince you that you're just being crazy.
Not to mention the medical system.
Oh,
I mean, they gaslight you as well.
So bad.
Well, what do you think are the first steps for folks trying to reconnect with that part of themselves?
Introspection. In tarot, I just think of the Hermit card is taking some time away, disconnecting from outside sources and really looking within.
Let's not sugarcoat it. This reemergence comes after a long, painful exile. The divine feminine has been suppressed through the demonization of witches and wise women, the burning of feminine knowledge, religious systems that worship a masculine god, while erasing the goddess. The shaming of emotion, intuition, and embodiment. This isn't just historical, it's ancestral. It lives in our bones. It lives in our mothers and grandmothers and in the parts of ourselves we've been told we are too much. But now it's being reclaimed. Rach, I've heard you say you felt the rise of that witch wound in your own life. Would you be open to sharing what it looked like for you and maybe how others might be experiencing it without even realizing it?
So I think for the longest time, and I think it's ancestral wounds for sure behind women, but a lot of us are brought up not to disturb the peace and not to speak our truth, just to keep the water still. And we hurt because of that. Every time you repress something and you know it's true and you're not being hurtful to others, how they react is how they react. But you have to be your own person too and speak for yourself, or it's physically going to affect you.
Ancestral, yeah, you feel it. But have you ever felt like maybe in a past life you were a witch?
Oh, for sure. There are definitely things about me that I can't explain, dreams that I have had about different times, and abilities that I just kind of come to possess that I think carry with me over past lives.
I've always had a little bit of irrational fears over certain things too, like fire, being burned at the stake, or drowned, or stoned, or hunted.
Yeah, it's weird. And I always wonder, I've always had a thing about the throat, and I think maybe I was either strangled or hung in past
Ooh.
life.
It's so strange because we're in a time now where we're able to speak about these things. Many women are holding these things within them, though. They're not releasing. And if you go back in history, like you were just kind of touching upon earlier, we were really repressed. I mean, all through history, maybe not in the far, far history where goddesses were worshipped. There were queens and women that ruled, but that has been quashed for so long.
Yeah, you just take some flowers and help heal a wound, and you were called a witch and the devil.
Yeah, you couldn't even be an herbalist or a naturopath. Well, speaking of witches and reclamation, I want to pivot us into a space that Rachel's been excited to bring to the table. We're talking about Hecate. I can never say it, Rach. Hecate, the goddess of crossroads, magic, and the underworld. And we're also going to talk about one of her sacred days, Friday the 13th, which most people have totally misunderstood. Rachel, I'll admit it. I don't know much about this, so I'm handing you the broomstick and the flashlight. Lead us into the shadow.
So Hecate is the triple goddess, and her energy is deeply connected to transitions, rebirth, and the awakening of the feminine in our time. Who is Hecate? Hecate is the Greek goddess of magic, the moon, and the crossroads. She embodies the maiden, mother, and crone, all stages of life and transformation. She's the torchbearer, the guide through darkness, and the protector of those on the edge of change. Her symbolism is that she carries torches to light the unknown, keys to unlock hidden doors, and is often seen with dogs, symbols of loyalty and instinct. Hecate teaches us that the in-between moments, the messy middles, are sacred. Endings are thresholds, not failures. And why she's rising now is in the wave of the feminine awakening, Hecate's presence reminds us to embrace the full spectrum of who we are, not just the polished parts. We're remembering how to be whole, how to honor our intuition, our cycles, our grief, and our personal rebirths.
I always thought of her as like some scary, witchy, demon witch lady.
Really?
Well, yeah, when you're not familiar with that part of spiritualism, you kind of look at it all like it's black magic, or it's ritualistic. But I've been learning from you And obviously, she is definitely part of the divine feminine.
And if she calls to you, you are special, like very special, like you are chosen, because you can't just choose Hecate. Hecate calls to you. And I honestly had no idea who Hecate was a few years back. And she actually came to me in a dream.
How did she present herself to you?
So it was nighttime and I was outside and there was lightning striking in the sky. And I look and I see a woman who was surrounded by black dogs all around her. And the woman stood up and she had 3 heads and the lightning was striking above her.
That's scary.
I didn't think it was scary. You think everything's
she has 3
scary.
heads and pounds of hell surrounding her.
But that was the way to distinguish it, because a lot of times they show her as a 3-headed, 3-faced person to represent the maiden, mother, and crone.
Triple goddess.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And she's always seen with dogs. And it's very interesting because I have 4 dogs myself. So I feel like I always have that Hecate energy around me.
I think you do.
I do.
Yeah. Hey, Spirit Seekers. Enjoying the show? Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the Spirit. If you could you leave us a review on Apple or Spotify and share the love? We drop a new video every week over on our YouTube channel, covering paranormal, conspiracy, high strangeness, and more. Have questions or you want to share your own spooky story? Drop us a line at tothespiritpod@gmail.com. Stay spirited. So tell us more about the Friday the 13th, because we all look at it like it's a scary bad luck day.
Yeah, it's interesting because 13's always been my lucky number. I've always loved that number. And come to find out that 13 is a very feminine number. It's also connected to Freya.
I love that name, by the way, Freya.
Yeah, it's a beautiful name. And she's got the cats.
I vibe with her more.
She had giant cats that pulled her around on her little chariot.
Ooh, nice. That's my kind of girl. I'd be hanging with Freya.
So, yeah, that brings me to Friday the 13th. It's been labeled as unlucky, but its roots are sacred. Friday is ruled by Venus, goddess of love and beauty, and 13 mirrors the lunar cycles tied to the feminine and menstrual rhythms. This day once honored the divine feminine, and reclaiming that truth is part of the healing. So if you're at a crossroads right now, know that Hecate walks with you. She holds the lantern, not to fix things for you, but to show you that you are capable of walking through the dark and becoming something new on the other side. That's the heart of the feminine power transformation through truth. She roots for the underdogs.
I do too.
Me too.
It's just in us. Probably because we are underdogs.
We are.
Underdogs are the best.
They are.
But that gave me chills. Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.
Let's close out today with a few ways our listeners can reconnect with this energy, especially if they're just starting to awaken to it. Practice receiving. Say yes to help, like Rachel said.
Yes. And it's so hard for us to say yes to help now.
It is. We're independent women. That's what we were told.
Mm-hmm.
Say yes to rest. Spend time in nature and notice its cycles. Reclaim your body as sacred, not shameful. Journal with your intuition. Write what comes through without judgment. Honor the moon. She is your teacher. Sit in silence. Listen to the womb space, even if you don't physically have one. Create. Art music, movement, meals. Creation is divine feminine energy. Now, let's stir the cauldron a bit. As the divine feminine rises, there's also a shadow surfacing, and we need to name it. Not everything flying the flag of feminine power is actually rooted in the sacred feminine. Some of it's rage, wrapped in faux empowerment. Some of it is about control, not collaboration, and some of it is just plain hostile towards men. Look, feminism began as a movement to create equality, but parts of it have morphed into something else. A space where men are being told to disappear, shrink, or shut up entirely. That is not the divine feminine. That's just another imbalance.
And I really feel bad for men.
I do too.
In this day and age.
Yeah. The real divine feminine, it doesn't seek to dominate the masculine. She seeks to dance with it, to heal it, to co-create, just like nature does. What are your thoughts, Rach, on the difference between sacred feminine energy and the kind of loud, angry feminism we're seeing right now that seems to throw the baby or the divine masculine out with the bathwater?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, and it's creating a lot of imbalance still because, like I said, I feel bad for men because men are getting silenced. Chivalry is dying because they're not allowed to open a door. They're not allowed to smile at someone because everybody reacts so terribly and they want to be like this victim to the man. And I'm not discrediting people who have
been victims.
Yeah, have been victims.
Yeah.
But
we're talking about that other side, though.
Yeah. And it's pushing men to be too in their feminine. And they're not being able to give, to provide, and
to protect.
To protect. So I heard a term that I really liked from somebody, and it's called a la carte feminism. And they want a man to do X, Y, Z, but then they want to be able to be the provider. They want to do what they want until it comes to a certain thing. Then they want the man to do that.
That's called having your cake and eating it too, right? You can't. This episode is not in any way man bashing. If you've been listening along, I see a lot of mental illness out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I heard someone saying men have created the structures that we live in. Plumbers, electricians, these are mostly men. They're keeping the world going. They're going off to war and serving. Yes, there are women, I know. But we can't just keep doing this.
We don't have to just prove that we can be better. There's just things like my partner's stronger than me. He can just pick up a washing machine and move it.
Right.
And it's fine. I don't have to prove him wrong. Like,
No.
I can do it too. No, go ahead and pick that up. I don't want to pick it up.
And I think there's something in me, maybe it's a past life thing, but that chivalry that's dead thing really bothers me. Like you had mentioned earlier.
I
It's like,
love chivalry.
I love it. What is wrong with a man being courteous and kind and courting you? What is wrong with a man opening your door or taking you out to dinner and paying for it without having to go Dutch? I mean, you can if you want. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
We're not saying that to be divine feminine is to be this crazy ass feminist. We're saying it's about the dance, right? The balance. And while women are being told to harden up and dominate, men are being told to soften, be passive, and in some cases, disappear altogether. Add in environmental toxins like hormone disrupting chemicals, plastic seed oils, and microplastics. And we're watching a strange, almost engineered imbalance play out right in front of our eyes. Masculine energy is being diluted, not just in personality, but physically. We're seeing lower testosterone, rising infertility rates, and a general confusion about what it means to be a man anymore. This isn't just a gender crisis, it's a spiritual one. The world needs sacred masculine energy just as much as it needs the divine feminine. We need warriors, protectors, builders, providers, not as superior, not as dominant, but as essential counterparts. I know you've worked with a lot of people over the years who've struggled with this, men who feel lost or not allowed to be men anymore. What would you say to those listening right now who might feel like they're being spiritually sidelined?
Take charge. If the person that you're with is trying to silence you, take charge and be in your masculine. And if they don't like you for that, and if that's who you want to be, then find somebody who appreciates what you provide and how you protect.
Because there are women out there that would appreciate that.
Right.
There are women that want to be in the divine feminine and have that counterpart of divine masculine, to have that provider, that man that respects her and loves her.
I have really tried to lean into my feminine and to receive and to nurture, but not be a mother, and to tend to care to give healing, that comfort, but not having to be like in charge, in control.
Rach, you're a mother. You're just birthing different things like creations and art and frequencies.
Right. Mothering to other things, but you shouldn't have to be mothering to your counterpart.
That's true. Though a lot of them like that.
And that is not in divine masculine.
No, it's not. I want to open the door here to an aspect of the divine feminine that often gets left out. The sacred mother. Not the domesticated version we've been handed, but the archetype that's as fierce as she is nurturing. She's Gaia, who trembles and quakes when her children are out of balance. She's Mary, who births light into darkness. She's Kali, who destroys illusion to protect the soul. The sacred mother holds space for growth, yes, but she also sets boundaries, initiates death cycles, and teaches hard truths with unwavering love. And maybe what the world is missing most right now is that presence. The ability to hold without fixing, to witness without rescuing, to love without control. Rach, this idea of the sacred mother, do you think we're being called to mother the world right now, or even remother ourselves?
Yeah, I think we need to nurture ourselves. We always put ourselves, especially as women, we put ourselves on the back burner and put everything else before us. And we are conditioned to think when we do things for ourselves, it's selfish. And we think of it as bad. But I'm here to tell you that you got to be selfish. Whether you think it's selfish or not, you have to do that for yourself. And once you nurture yourself, then we can be able to have that energy to nurture the world.
Heal the world. Let's heal the world. Let's bring it home. The truth is, this isn't about replacing one force with another. The rise of the divine feminine isn't about wiping the masculine off the map. It's about bringing the two into right relationship. The feminine is starting to rebalance the scales, not tip them in her favor. The healthiest expression of this new age, it's when the priestess and the protector walk side by side. When the soft heart beats with the strong chest. When intuition and action co-create the world we want to live in. This is the age of Aquarius, and this is what it's calling for now. Not war between energies, but reunion. Before we close out, do you have any thoughts on how people can begin to heal this divine feminine masculine split in themselves?
I'd say meditation, do research, learn all the things. What defines the true feminine, the true masculine, and practice it. Practice little things. Just like we said, if someone wants to help you, let them help you. And don't feel like it has to be reciprocated, because you already reciprocated with your energy.
I know it's hard to come out of that logical side. A lot of us women are conditioned for that because we had to. We were in a time that we were taught to think logically, logistically, and we've lost a lot of that creative balance. So maybe it's time to bring that back in.
Another thing too, if it piques your interest, to learn the tarot. The tarot is a lot of balance of feminine and masculine energies. And a lot of those cards signify, like the Empress is the divine feminine, the Emperor is the divine masculine, but then every minor arcana has a king, has a queen, and they all have their different but equal purposes. I think society just always is pitting one side against the other, and we have to realize that we're equally as important and vital for each other, and one isn't better than the other.
I couldn't have said that better myself. And you mentioned the tarot. I have to mention one of my favorite shows that I just found out got canceled, and I'm very depressed about this. Wheel of Time.
Oh no, it got canceled?
Yeah. If our listeners haven't had a chance to check out the Wheel of Time, and you're into fantasy, that is the divine feminine in counterbalance with the divine masculine. And it's exactly what we spoke about today, just in a fantasy realm. That's almost parallel to what we're living. There's a lot of lessons in it.
That's probably why I got canceled. So
Of course.
just too good.
It was good. And yet they kept that Lord of the Rings show on Amazon. Bastards.
It wasn't trash enough, so.
It's true. It's not reality trash TV or the news.
It's like, what was that show? Firefly?
Oh, yeah. I never watched it. People loved it.
That was a really good one.
The divine feminine isn't just a concept. It's a return, a homecoming, a remembering. She doesn't gently knock. Sometimes she arrives in heartbeat and breakdown. In the moment you realize you've been surviving when you were meant to thrive. And she's here now, in this age, in you. We hope this episode offered you something sacred to carry forward. Before we go, we want to hear from you. Have you felt the divine feminine rising in your own life? Have your relationships, your creativity, your inner world shifted in unexpected ways? Drop us a message. Comment. Send us a signal from the beyond. Because this isn't just a podcast. It's a shared remembering. And your story might be the mirror someone else needs. Be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review if this resonated. And as always, reach out to us. We're just across the veil and in your headphones. From both of us at To the Spirit, stay strange, stay sacred, and until next time, she is rising.
To the Spirit
Podcast.
Supernatural Science
Aliens. Ghost.
Psychic Mystic
Spirit.
Divine Source
Heaven.
The dead. It's magic.